the process of building the lesson plan, I learned that before a lesson, we have to consider lots of things, such as we have to consider reasonable objectives and learning activities and so on. And based on these elements, there are conclusions before. There are theories concluded before, such as cognitivism, behaviorism, and etc. For our group, we opted the cognitivism, and I learned that this is more focuses on letting students receive knowledge and make their own cognitions. So this is the most direct and simple way to pass knowledge, but it might cause that the class would be boring. So before we design the lesson plan, we have to consider lots of things, such as we have to set appropriate learning objectives and suitable lesson activities to help us pass the knowledge appropriately to students. And finally, last but not least, I realized that it is never an easy thing to prepare a lesson and build a lesson plan. But for us teachers, we have to pass knowledge appropriately and teach students well. So no matter how hard it is, we have to treat any lesson plan seriously.
Greetings to Dr. Hanita. I'm Chivi, and today I will be giving explanation about the poem entitled If by Rudyard Kipling, which I used to base my lesson plan about. So, what the poem is about: the poem speaker advises his son to live with restraint, moderation, and composure. The son should always keep his wits about him, and the speaker says, never overreacting, as he should learn to be confident without being vain, accept hardships without dwelling on them, and behave with dignity. Living this way, the speaker suggests, will make the son a true man. This is a poem of advice, not just from father to a son, but from fathers to sons. A poem about an idealized kind of self-sufficient male virtue. So the lesson plan that I suggested is that for the introduction, I will be giving handouts about the containing the poem to students, and they will take around 5 minutes to read the whole poem. After that, they will have to interpret the poem based on what they have experienced in life, about advice from their loved ones, from friends, from family, and so on. After that, moving on to the actual lesson, I will have them to create their own ifs, which is to create and write on a piece of paper of the advice they've received in the past, or like just currently, just recently, and then think about what advice they would like to give to others, maybe not just to their future sons, but to others. So basically, doing their own poems. Doesn't have to be long. It will take around 25 minutes for them to do so. After that, after finish writing what they wanted, they can gather, like be in groups and talk about the advice that they would like to give, as how if is conveyed by Rudyard Kipling. So, as for the conclusion of my lesson, I would like some of the students to volunteer to share about the if that I built by their own, talking about what advice they would like to share with people. And the suggested lesson plan places a strong emphasis on the mental processes involved in learning in accordance with cognitivism tenets. Students' prior knowledge is activated as the introduction starts with conversation about values and wisdom. Critical thinking is encouraged by the reading and interpretation of the poem that follows, which activates cognitive functions including memory, attention, and perception. An example of how cognitivism is put to use in practice is the interactive exercise your own if, which is the advice, and students utilize critical thinking abilities such as synthesis and application by crafting customized renditions of the poetry. The activity's hands-on approach strengthens the mental links between previously formed cognitive structures and newly acquired knowledge. In keeping with cognitivism's emphasis on metacognition, the lessons invites discussion on the moral implication of the poem. Reiterating the wisdom in the poem's timeless form strengthen enduring cognitive structures and aids in information retention and application over the long run. Thank you.
So first thing first, I'd like to say that throughout the process of making this lesson plan is quite hard for me, especially when we were doing the first test, because I have never done any kind of lesson plan. I have no experience of doing the lesson plan, but after I get some guides and also assist from you and from my other friends, it does helps me a lot. So for this lesson plan, I chose from the SKP Form 4, a poem titled He Had Such Quiet Eyes by Binti and Harjo. Our group chose cognitivism as our learning theory. So my activities named Big 8 Wheel. So the objective of my activity is that by the end of the lesson, students will be able to use critical thinking to examine the issues such as authorial purpose, because I want them to know what is the purpose of the author wrote this poem. And also the second one is I want they creatively synthesize ideas through the Big 8 Wheel subjects, because I want them to encourage their inventive thinking. And the third one, students will be able to work together in groups by sharing their thoughts and ideas on many facets of the poetry while enhancing their social and cognitive abilities. So during the beginning of my activities, teacher, which is me, will distribute the handout containing the poem He Had Such Quiet Eyes. Basically, the poem is about a woman who has been deceived to think that she was loved by a man because the man had such quiet eyes. So after that, teacher will ask through the progress, teacher will ask the students to read the poem for 5 to 10 minutes, because the teacher want to make the student familiar with the poem and try to understand what is the poem want to tell about. And after that, the teacher will divide the class into 5 groups, and each group containing 7 students, 7 person. And the teacher will open a spin wheel and play a game named Big 8 Wheel, which is my activities. So the representative of each group will spin the wheel that contains 8 content, such what do you visualize when you read the poem? Why do you think the author wrote the poem? If this poem inspired a movie, what type of movie would it be? And also maybe what is another title you could give to the poem, and so on. So each group will discuss and give their opinion about the topic that they get every time they spin the wheel. And by the end of the activities, teacher will ask each group to choose a different topic based on the wheel and present it in front and present it to the whole class using the margin paper. Such as, I will give the example. I will choose the group 3, and maybe the group 3 will present why do you think the author wrote this poem? So they will share the idea and thought why the author wrote this poem. So at the end of the class, teacher will recap the lesson by asking each student to make a simple reflection about what they have learned today in a Padlet.
Hi everyone, my name is HADHINAH. So for my part of reflection, I'm going to tell you why it is important to learn and teach literature, especially in our country. Okay, there are 5 reasons why it is important to learn literature in our country. The first one is appreciation for other cultures and belief. The second one is we can expand our horizon. We can imagine and we have our own creativity, what we can sort of from the story, from the novel, and from any type of literature things. The third one is we can also improve our reading skills, our writing skills, and of course our communication skills, because I believe that literature offered all of these skills to upgrade our reading, writing, and communication skills, where we can read, we can learn, not only we can enjoy ourselves in reading the materials, but also we can enhance our critical thinking skills. Why this is happening and what is not. We enjoy our literature materials like poem, short story, or novel, and etc. We can also upgrade or improve our critical thinking skills, like I said before. And last but not least, literature also help us to improve our vocabulary skills. For example, we are reading the short story. We get to know a lot more vocabulary that we didn't find it before. Okay, so by this we adding more vocabulary terms for our knowledge. Okay, so for conclusion, it is important for us to learn literature, and as a future teacher, we also need to enhance the learning of literature for our future students. So learning and teaching literature, like I said earlier, it have many benefits. From learning and also teaching literature, we can get a lot of good input and output, like the benefits of what I explained earlier. There are a lot of benefits we can get from learning literature, but I focus on the most important reason that can help us to improve ourselves also. Thank you.